Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest for Insight. He is a friend and a colleague and an awesome, amazing teacher. Now, sir, let them know what your name is and where are you from?
Hello everybody, my name is David. I am an Indian, a Tamil-speaking Indian, but I was born and raised in Brunei. Brunei is a tiny little country that's on the island of Borneo, which is in the center of Southeast Asia.
All right, now Teacher David, I got a lot of questions for you. First question, what time do you normally wake up in the morning?
I love sleeping. I need to get like 10 hours of sleep a day for me to feel like I've had enough rest. So if I can, I'd like to sleep in till about 8 or 9 o'clock. But with my current work schedule, I usually wake up around 7 to 7:20 in the morning.
What's your favorite food?
What's my favorite food? Oh man, I actually don't know where to start. But right now, recently, it's been tofu.
What do you describe as an ideal typical day?
An ideal day for me would be bright and sunny, but cloudy so it isn't hot. And I'd want to get into my car and go out for a long, scenic drive through the countryside, stopping along the way at any small family-owned cafes or restaurants to, fill up my tank as well.
If I gave you $1 million and I said that you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, hands down, it would be New Zealand. I haven't been there. I have lived in Australia, and what I know about New Zealand is they have some beautiful glacier landscapes, and the car import laws are some of the most lenient in the world.
If you could travel to anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Right now, it'd probably be Brazil. I've been talking to quite a number of people online who are from there, and I know that coffee is a big thing there, and I love coffee.
Now, Teacher David, you've been a teacher for a while. What made you become a teacher?
Well, I guess what made me become a teacher was just my circumstances at the time when I first entered the profession. I was looking for a job. I just graduated from university, and the only job I could land at the time was teaching English. So I had to take it. I had to sustain myself in some way or form. So I became a teacher because I didn't really have a choice at the time.
What do you like about teaching? And is there anything you don't like about teaching?
The satisfaction that I get from seeing my students improve, make progress, and achieve their goals, that is unlike anything else I've experienced doing anything else. Now, one thing that I hate about teaching is I hate teaching people who don't want to learn. And you can't really control what other people are like or what they do. And plus, there are all sorts of other factors and reasons that would cause them to behave in whatever way they do. Their circumstances, their other commitments. So not having students who are either able to commit or who are willing to commit to their learning and their progress makes it hard for me to help them achieve their goals. And when the one thing that I want is to help them, that's pretty frustrating. That's what gives me my satisfaction. And when I can't get that, it's not fun.
Now, Teacher David, I am your student, so I have a question for you. How can I improve my speaking? How about vocabulary? And here's the thing. Oh, Teacher David, I'm shy. How can I improve and get over my shyness? How can I be more confident?
Well, you got to understand this, that speaking a language isn't just knowledge. It's a skill, and it has elements of being a motor skill, which means it involves using your muscles and coordinating the use of your muscles, particularly the muscles in your face, in your neck, your tongue. And in order to develop a motor skill, or any skill, the only way to do it is to practice it, and to practice doing it the right way. That's how athletes become professionals and the best in the world at their sports and at their motor skills. And speaking a language is the same. you became fluent in your first or native language because you use it every single day. You use it to communicate. And English is just another language. That's how first language speakers of English become fluent in English. And there's no reason why you as a second language speaker can't use the same method to become fluent in speaking it as well. You can definitely learn vocabulary from going through lists and memorizing words and using flashcards. All of that is definitely going to be useful, but it's not going to be fun. And when you don't enjoy the process of learning, that can really limit how much progress you make and how easy it is for you to stay consistent. And consistency is something that's so important to learning anything. If you quit just, if you give 100% effort and then you quit just a few months into it, you're wasting so much opportunity. So I would rather, my students at least, I would rather they learn just a little bit and go at a very slow pace, but stay consistent over a long time. So with vocabulary, the most fun way to learn it is by making your own examples that are real, that are relevant to you in your everyday life. So whatever new word you learn, make sure you use it. Use it to communicate, use it to talk about the things around you that you experience day to day. Let me tell you a secret. I'm shy too when I have to speak languages that I'm not fluent in. And I understand how you feel. One way that I get past my shyness is by being willing to fail. My fear, my shyness really is just fear. And my fear is that something really bad is going to happen if I speak badly, if I make mistakes with my vocabulary, if I'm not speaking smoothly, if I'm not using perfect grammar. And I'm also afraid that I'm not going to understand the other person and that they're going to get really upset or that it's going to get me in some sort of trouble. When I am forced to use my non-native language that I'm learning day to day, I actually have to use it even though I feel shy just to get through my day-to-day activities. And by doing that, and when I actually do make mistakes, which I can't really help, I realize that the consequences of making mistakes isn't really that bad. Nothing seriously bad has happened from me not speaking perfect Japanese. And I live in Japan, so that gives me confidence. It gives me the confidence that I can still make mistakes, I can get things wrong and speak Japanese badly and not have anything bad happen. And when I realize that from my own real experience, I don't feel shy or afraid anymore. So I would say, decide that you are shy, accept the fact that you are shy, and be willing to fail.
What are your 2 to 3 favorite English words? How about idioms?
It's not too hard. Dumbass, ass clown, and ass hat. Yeah, and I've said this before. One of my favorite words in the English language is the word ass. Oh, idioms. Lights are on but nobody's home. He's got a couple of plugs loose, as in spark plugs. And the other one is not quite firing on all 4 cylinders.
All right, Teacher David, you might not want to answer this question. What is the biggest misconception about you?
I guess the biggest misconception that a lot of people have about me on social media is that I'm a good person or that I'm generous or charitable. I'm actually not. I'm just a regular person like everyone else, and I'm just trying to feed myself, put clothes on my back, and a roof over my head. And if there was absolutely nothing that I could gain, nothing tangible that I could gain from posting free videos, free English videos and free English lessons on social media, then I wouldn't be doing it. But that's not to say that I don't get any satisfaction from seeing people benefit from my videos. I mean, when I get thank you messages from people, it warms my heart and it does motivate me to continue doing this. But the fact of the matter is I wouldn't be doing it for free if in the long term and if in the big scheme of things, it really was completely for free.
Social media. You're on it. You do an excellent job. What's a video that you've always wanted to make, but you haven't had the chance to make it?
I actually started social media by making YouTube videos about my own hobbies. And that includes, little hacks to save money and be frugal, or to live more cost efficiently, I suppose. I made videos about coffee because that's something else that I really enjoy, and cars. So that's not to say that I've stopped thinking about that or that I've completely given up on that. It's just that right now I'm focusing on the English lessons because I'm seeing a lot of success with that. But at some point I would like to maybe work out a more efficient workflow and start making more content in other genres as well.
What does the word insight mean to you? How about we learn together?
When I hear the word insight, I think about it in a very similar way to how it's defined in the dictionary. And if we look at the word itself, insight, it's made of two parts. In meaning inside, the opposite of outside, and sight, which is to do with vision or seeing. So an insight is a look inside something. And this video is an example of an insight. For those of you who are watching this, you just got an insight into my life and who I am and what goes on in my world.
We learn together. I think that expression is especially powerful when it comes from a teacher, particularly in a lot of non-English speaking countries or Eastern countries, Asian countries. There's this culture of always respecting the elders and respecting seniority. And that extends to the classroom or an educational environment as well. So a lot of times there are students who are afraid to question what the teacher says, and they're afraid to challenge what's being said by the teacher because they don't want to question their elders or question the teacher who's more knowledgeable and knows everything. And at the same time, teachers don't want to be challenged. They don't want to be questioned either. So it becomes an environment that's not at all conducive for learning for anybody. I would much rather be in a position where I want my students to question and challenge me, because if I'm wrong, I want to know. I don't want to continue teaching the wrong thing to everybody else. I want my students to challenge me, to question what I say, so that they can learn how to think and not just what to think. And I can learn from them as well. And if I'm wrong, I'll correct myself. If I'm not wrong, and if they just misunderstood me, then still I get to benefit, because I get to learn and work out how I should be explaining things so that they don't misunderstand what I'm trying to teach them. And I hate it when teachers are too proud or too conceited to admit their mistakes. They feel like they're losing face if they're ever wrong. So even when they are wrong, they refuse to admit it. And I also hate it when students don't feel comfortable asking questions. So that's what we learn together means to me.
All right, I need to ask you this question. Be honest, be honest. How would you describe Teacher Will?
There are three things that come to mind when I think about Teacher Will. The first is that he is charismatic. He's a skilled orator. He's a skilled presenter. He has a stage presence which captures an audience and holds their attention and commands their attention. The second thing is very closely related to that. I think the Teacher Will has what it takes to be an effective leader. Leadership is ultimately just influence. If you have no influence over people, you can't be a leader. And I think that Teacher Will, with the way that he's able to inspire and motivate, he can be an effective leader. He has influence over his audience. And the third thing is that Teacher Will is entertaining. Every single time I've watched Teacher Will's lives, or every time I've had a live with him, it's just so much fun and the time just flies right by. So there's absolutely no question about it. Teacher Will is also a skilled and effective entertainer.
Teacher David, thank you very much for your time. The last question, the last comment, any final suggestions to improve one's English or even your life?
Yes, and this is a lesson that I was taught by one of my mentors when I was a university student. Work with what you have, not with what you want. Work with what you have, not with what you want. Think about life or the pursuit of any goal like a poker game, like a card game. You get dealt a set of cards, let's say it's 5 cards. You have no control over what cards you're going to get, but you do have control over how you use those cards to play the game. And in the same way, in life, in the pursuit of any goal, and if that goal is learning English, you don't have control over where you live or where you're born. You don't have control over what your native language is, and you probably don't have a lot of control over the kind of socioeconomic family or household you're in. But you do have control over what you do using the opportunities that are available to you. And if you're just going to sit there and complain about what you don't have, complain about the cards that you wish you had in your hand but you weren't dealt, that's not going to help you in any way. It's not going to help you win the game. But don't get me wrong, just because you do the best with the cards you have doesn't guarantee that you'll win the game. And it's probably going to be harder to win the game using a non-perfect set of cards, but it's going to give you the best chance of winning the game. And you're going to make the most progress by working with what you have instead of just sitting there and complaining. So that device that you have in front of you, that you're using to watch this video, is the same device that gives you access to all of the knowledge in the world. The internet is something that no other generation before us had at their disposal. Use it. Please, please use it.